price is 94.52, hence the reference rate $5.48. Let's look at June 2024 contract. Because typically there isn't much volume except for the end of quarter months. 94.76. $5.24. Remember, these are essentially forward 3-month interest rates. These being a futures contract, as interest rates change, they are daily settled. So if you want to bet on interest rates rising, or benefit from interest rates rising, you want to short the short-term interest rate contract, interest rate futures. Remember, it's the contract that we're shorting. We're not betting that interest rates are going to go down. Because if interest rates go up, what's going to happen to the price? Price of the futures contract. If the reference rate goes up, what's going to happen to the price? It's not a complicated question, guys. Well, price will go down because price is 100 minus reference rate. So if interest rate goes up, price will come down. That's why if you want to benefit from interest rates going up, you need to short the contract. If you want to benefit from interest rates going down, take a long position on the short-term interest rate futures contracts. As interest rates go down, price will go up. So when you're long, you benefit from price increases. The way you would use this, suppose you bought that floating rate loan, okay? When you borrow at a floating rate, when future interest rates goes up, you end up paying more, right? So you need a position to hedge that. You need a position that's gonna make you money if the interest rates go up. In this case, short position. So if your natural position is floating rate debt, then a proper hedge, not necessarily proper, is to short the short-term interest rates contract. Why? Because as interest rates go up, you pay more in interest rates. but since you shorted the interest rate futures contract, you make money on that contract, so they cancel each other. If you lended money at floating rate, you can take a long position on short-term interest rate futures contracts. In general, if you have any position that's going to affect you, not lent money, that affects you negatively as interest rates go up, you can use short-term futures contract to hedge yourself. As an example, suppose you're a bank that has a lot of fixed rate mortgages. Okay? As the name suggests, the rate is fixed, so the interest you earn on those are fixed. As with most banks, you finance yourself using depositors' money or short-term money market. So when the short-term interest rates go up, your cost of financing those mortgages goes up. This actually happened back in late 70s to mid 80s. Have you guys ever heard of the savings and loan blunder? In 70s especially, there were financial institutions in US called savings and loans institutions. People deposited their money in savings accounts, and these banks pretty much did long-term lending, especially mortgage lending. Things were pretty good when there was actually a regulation by Fed that limited the interest rates paid on savings accounts. So I'm making up numbers. They borrowed at 3%, they lent at 5%. You make 2% on a mortgage. Typically, if you're a bank like that, for each $1 of your own money, you're using probably $8 to $10 of other people's money. So you're making at least close to 20% on your capital, plus 20+% on your capital. It's decent, low risk business activity. That's why there were a lot of these institutions. Then, when the inflation rates increased quite a bit in the late 70s in US because of the oil embargoes, oil shocks in 1973 and 78, that regulation was eventually lifted. That meant short-term interest rates shot up. So these institutions have already placed their money at long-term assets, mortgages, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. And they're getting only a fixed return on those, but they were getting maybe 5-6% yield on those mortgages, and they had to finance themselves anywhere from 10 to 15%. In 1 year alone, you would have been bankrupt. If you had for example, 8% capital ratio, which is considered somewhat healthy for a bank normally. 8% capital ratio means for each $1 of your own money, you're using $11 of somebody else's money, roughly speaking. Well, if you're losing 5% on each of those assets, you're losing 55% on those other people's money. So in 1 year, more than half of your capital is going to be gone. Well, if you're at 4% capital ratio, it doesn't matter what era we're talking about, your regulator is going to say you're done. We're taking you over. You're bankrupt. And a lot of these institutions failed, and U.S. government ended up actually coming in, bailed them out. It cost in 1980 dollars, $85, over $500 billion to clean up that mess. That's in today's money, it's probably much more. It's actually Ask ChatGPT. I find this now easier to use ChatGPT than looking for databases. Come on. I have membership in 3.5, which is free. What is the current value of $100 in 1985? Well, I can do that. Oh. Just a second, apparently I didn't connect it.